But let me tell you something. Some people gonna actually take you serious. That the Lord is working through you. Some people gonna actually listen to you. Just like some people listen to the prophets and some people didn't. They're gonna listen. And nothing's gonna happen bad. They're gonna accept what's being told to them. I don't understand a lot of things that I'm going through right now. I did a video yesterday about my current situation. I don't mind talking about my problems. Because I got to let you know. Your testimony is important to the kingdom. Don't be afraid to tell it. But I'm going to tell you something. When you tell it truthfully. Don't make the story bigger than what it is. Don't take from the story. If the Bible say don't add from his word or take from his word, when you tell a story about your life, tell the truth, every part. Every part. That's the only way it's going to work. Just like when people come to you for advice and they tell you partial. I tell some people the same thing. I was like, just tell me the truth. And the Spirit of the Lord is like, they're lying. I don't even know what they ain't telling me. But I know something wrong. Through the Lord. It's not really about me. But he's using me. And he's using you. How many parents have prayed and prayed for their children to no avail? It's not because their prayers wasn't working. It goes back to the sower and the seed. The devil blocks their ears. Or they hear it for a time in the second stage, and then when they fall away. It's not your fault that the word is not reaching them. It's not your fault they're not seeing. I didn't have people kick me out their houses and call me evil. They're no longer in those houses anymore. I didn't have people help me. And God has blessed them beyond measure. One of my lowest ends, one of my nieces, Quanteria. The Lord set on my mind to call her when I had my kids. I was in my worst spots, man. She's doing so well now. So many people that the Lord has used me to minister to and talk to or be around and have assisted me during my worst times are still standing. And some of them are not. And I'm not saying they're dead. Because sometimes it's Christ working through you that keep the danger at bay. One last story. I was working at a place, I'm going to name the place, Covan. They had a godly woman working in the office. They're designed to help them. I saw it. I saw it in her. She's a woman of God. I was like, wow, man. She's good. They plotted up against her. But let me go back. I'm still jumping ahead of myself. I believe I was designed to be a blessing to that place. I believe I was. Through Christ. To make it a better place. And I tried and I tried. I remember the boss man told me, if you think you're a good mover, you need to change professions. I was so angry. I was like, man, because I take pride in my work. If I do it, I'm going to do it 100%. And nobody can tell me. Just like this word. Nobody can tell me that I'm not faithful. You can't. It's impossible. You can't defer me from what I know what I do. And that's not being prideful. That's just being truthful. You can't tell me nothing. They couldn't tell Moses nothing. They couldn't tell a lot of his disciples, true apostles, nothing. Prophets, nothing. Because their orders come directly from God. And my orders come directly from God. I do what he tells me to do. I go where he tells me to go. I say what he tells me to say. And I remember one time he said, he asked me, pull this before he said that. He pulled me to the side. He was like, Houston, why don't people follow your lead? Like, what are you doing? He's like, I need you to make them follow me. And before I knew it, I spoke. I said, I've been working here for a while. And I have built a relationship with mostly everybody here. They know my backup. They know I'm for them. That's why they follow me. And it's not really about me. It's like you put yourself in a position where people will follow your lead. But some ain't. I like, you got to do the same. And I told that to the boss. And I meant it. And ever since that day, he was gunning for me. I wasn't trying to turn them against him, but I still, I vouched for him. Come to find out he was a horrible boss. Anyway, one day in the morning meeting, it's like he started stacking the odds against me. And I pray. I remember one morning I was at the job and I was just praying long and hard. I was praying so long and hard that I was crying on the dock of the building. Everybody was inside. We had a morning meeting. And I asked the Lord, I said, what you want me to do? And I was in one of the craziest situations. I had just got my kids for the summer. Only job I had, but I had already met up with the boss I work with now, probably 3 weeks prior. And I told him, I said, I'm probably going to come back here, man. I just knew it. But this day was the day. And he said something smart. And I said, you know what? I'm out of here. He like, make sure you bring your shirts back. That's what he said. Make sure you bring your work shirts back. So I brought them back. And everybody like, you gone? I'm like, yeah, man, I can't deal with it no more. I'm done. If they don't see my worth, it's no use for me to be here. Shortly after, they promoted a guy to the warehouse manager. He fell bad on drugs, had the truck misplaced, the company truck. The boss man got fired. They could never find the company truck no more. I don't know what he do with it. The person who took his place got fired. One of the head warehouse manager died a few years later. They got a whole new crew there now. Nobody who was there when I was there is there. It failed. The whole establishment failed. And this is a true story. I can tell you another one. Same exact thing happened. Boss lady was gunning for me. I come back up to the job. She's no longer boss lady. I'll take that loss for God, for Christ. But I know he's going to always sustain me. People think this is boasting and pride. No, it's the truth. I fear no man but God. I work for him. If the Lord put it on my mind to say something, I'm going to say it. I'm going to stand my ground in Christ, and I'm going to stand it for as long as he wants me to stand it, and I'm going to let him do what he wants to do through me. Whatever it may be. And the thing is, it's going to be good for some and bad for some. Accept it. You see, we like cleaners. You understand? Let's say you keep going. God send you to a house, right? And he keep having you clean it up. And it'll get clean. And the people of the house keep dirtying it up. And then you go through it and you clean it again. And then they dirty it back up. Then you clean it again. Then they dirty it back up. And then eventually the Lord is like, you know what? Step back. Let it get dirty. Let it fall. Step back. Let me do the rest. And I accept this mission. When I called on the Lord, when he called me and I answered, the first thing I said, one of the first things I said to him, and he answered right away, I said, I want to help people. And shortly after, a homeless man fell in my life. And I failed that test. I had people in my home at the time that was calling this guy evil. How you gonna move this random stranger into your house? I did it because the Lord told me to. They caused all kind of problem with the guy. And me not listening to God, but listening to people, I kicked them out in a nice way. I was like, hey man, it's just too much stuff going on. So I took him back where he was, and I felt so bad. I still feel bad about it today. Because it's one of my first tests God gave me. And I failed. But I prayed. And then some told me to go by where he was. I was like, what's going on with you, man? He's like, I'm finna leave town. He's like, my family members to send me some money. They finna pay for my bus ticket. And he said, you'll do this for me? You'll take me there? And I did, and I talked to him, and I can't even imagine how many times I apologized to this man. But everything, when he was around, everything he told me was true. And I never could find him no more. I remember his name, Pete Ezos. Sound like a name straight out the Bible. Ezos. Pete Ezos? I'm like, is that a made up name or something? You know what I'm saying? Now, I brought him to a church, right? And the church was like, hey, bring people in from the highways and the byways. So I brought him in from the church, for the church, and the church was shunning him. Who is this man? Do you know him? I like, no. I said, y'all told me to bring people in from the highways and the byways. That's what I'm supposed to do. But then when I bring them in, you got a million questions. They basically shunned the man. They did background checks and everything. Couldn't find this guy for nothing. They used to come to me. We looked him up. We can't find out who he is. I believe that man was an angel. I believe I entertained an angel. I don't care what nobody says. I feel it in my heart and my soul. And I remember he used to love, only food he liked to eat was pig feet. I'm like, how much pig feet you eat? I remember I came home from church, me and him one day, and he had some pig feet that he cooked. He was staying in my basement in a little room we set up for him. And they took his food and threw it in the yard. I couldn't believe it. I come back, they all gathered outside his living arrangement. This is a true story. I couldn't believe it. I had just gave my life over to God, and I was like, what is wrong with these folks? just plotting. This is my house. That I thought was my house. I couldn't believe it, man. Some evil people in this world. I ain't gonna even say no names. They know who they are. I bet you they remember what I'm talking about too, if they watch this video. I don't care about exposing you. I don't care. It is what it is. I hope you give your life to God and change from your evil ways. I have told people warnings. I remember I was telling somebody else he had separated from his wife. And he was having many problems. Everybody was seeing it. I never saw it. I said, if I ain't seeing it myself, I ain't got nothing to do with this. But everybody was telling him to go out and be like her. So he went out and did like her and got a sexually transmitted disease in his mouth. And I told him not to do it. I said, don't do it. But the majority rules in this world. Majority. Where the majority is saying do it, so I must need to do it. But the truth of the matter is, shortly after that, I was coming from a delivery or somewhere, and I stopped at a store. Guess who I run into? His wife and another man holding hands. I never told him, but I was like, golly, it's true. And shortly after that, I experienced my divorce. Almost exactly the same way. Adultery. Here I am today. Remarried. Adultery again. And I'm like, wow. Is it me? Maybe. In a good way. But I'm not going to change who I am. Not to satisfy another person. Because what he say when sin is produced, when people are drawn away by their own lust, I ain't make nobody sin. They do it on their own. And a lot of people who've been through hell. My ex-wife went through hell after we separated. Hell. The grass looked so much greener. The dude was abusive. Choked her to death, almost to death a few times, then knocked her almost unconscious. All kind of things didn't happen. But we still friends today. We back in good terms. And she'll tell me about a lot of things that goes on. My wife right now, she's pretty stubborn. It's all my fault still. You want to know about me? Ask me. I tell you. I tell you the truth. I ain't got no reason to lie. Everything I'm telling you is true. When the Lord told me in his Bible that no lies of God, I try my best not to lie. I'm not saying I don't. I work at a place where you gotta tell people stuff all the time on the phone. Not really lying, but God knows my heart, man. I gotta say what they tell me to say in regards to this profession. Now, if it goes truly against God and me worshiping other things and stuff like that, I'm not fit to do it. But certain things you got to, he said it's better to conceal a matter than to reveal it. I call it concealment. I really don't know. I done seen people steal on the job. It'll find out. We got a situation at the job right now. It was found out without my help. I didn't have to do nothing. God has given him chance after chance to right his wrongs. And he just wouldn't do it. You know, man, people, I don't do this because it's what I do want to do it. I do want to work for God, but it's not about me. I do it because it's what the Lord wants me to do. On where I am right now today, at this job, for God. And it benefits me too. That's what serving God does. Benefit you. I'll pause right now and I'll be back.